Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to be making a few more things for my garden, so let's get started. For the first project I'm making a fairy garden. If you have some old crates or shallow drawers, I would suggest you use them. I didn't have any, so I had to make my own. I started by cutting some scrap pieces of pallet wood to size. I also cut some small pieces of scrap wood to add to the corners to reinforce it and to make it more stable. I simply glued and nailed it together. I cut the corner pieces of wood slightly shorter than the side pieces. This will allow room to add the pieces of wood for the bottom. Next, I cut the pieces for the bottom and glued and nailed them into place. I made two crates this way, except one of them I omitted the bottom on it because I'm going to have that one sitting directly on the soil in my flower bed. Once I had everything made, I lightly sanded the edges to remove any splinters since this wood has a very rough texture. My fairy garden is going to have 3 levels, so for the top level I'm going to use a small wood box from my stash. The only thing I did to it was drill a few drainage holes in the bottom of it. Next, I painted all the boxes and set them aside to dry. For the fairy garden pieces, I purchased them at Dollar Tree. I didn't like the paint colors on some of them, so I painted over it. I also made a fence out of some craft sticks and a few ladders made from tree branches. I just glued them all together. After the paint was dry, I used some of the IOD stamps to decorate the front of the crates. To finish it, I sprayed the entire thing with a clear matte sealer. For the next project, I'm using up more of my pallet wood. Since I didn't have any wood that was wide enough, I had to use 2 pieces together for each side. I cut the boards to length and then cut the bottom of the boards using my jigsaw. Next, I placed the 2 boards side by side and used some pieces of scrap wood to hold them together. I just used wood glue and nails to attach it. I did this on the bottom, middle, and top of the boards. On the top section of board, I used my jigsaw and cut an angle on both sides. I then used glue and nails to add the small piece of wood to hold the tops of the boards together. Next, I attached a piece of wood for the shelf. I added it on top of the middle brace, again using glue and nails. On the bottom, I added a scrap piece of wood to keep the side pieces from moving. Since I didn't have any wood left that was wide enough and long enough, I used 4 pieces of lath to create sides on the front and back of the shelf. For the top, I used a piece of a dowel and glued and nailed it into place. If my dowel would have been longer, I would have drilled holes in the sides the same diameter as the dowel and then slide it through and glued and nailed it into place. I think that way would make for a sturdier handle. Next, I added some exterior wood filler to the large nail holes, and when that was dry, I lightly sanded the whole thing. This is pretty rough wood, so I only sanded it enough so I wouldn't get any splinters when I touched it. I then gave it 2 coats of paint. After the paint was dry, I used the IOD grain sack stamp on the side. I don't like how this stamped, and I don't like that ink color, so I'm just taped it off and I'm going to paint over it. See what happens. As you can see, that didn't turn out quite like I wanted. I then painted over the stripes. I also cut apart one of the IOD flower transfers and added some of the parts to the stripes. Next, I used the IOD letter stamps and added a few words to it. I then used antiquing wax over the entire thing. To finish it, I added a small oval resin piece to the side. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing what I made for my garden, and I'll see you in the next video.